Welcome to another weekly featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact and your host, James Moffat, where he will gracefully take our featured guest on a personal and business journey and stories that will inspire, educate, and engage you.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Featured Business brought to you by your host, myself, James Moffat, and Visibility Impact. Today we have our 96th guest, and she's going to tell us all about her journey and take her through memory lane back from her childhood to where she is now and what she's doing. So we'll introduce her shortly, but before we get going, we're going to have a song from Emily. Emily normally sings live, but unfortunately she can't make it today. So I've got a recording, so just listen to the recording and then we'll come straight back to our guest. Okay, everyone ready? Beautiful. Yeah. Okay, so Priyanka, I'm going to get it wrong, right? So you are our 96th guest, so welcome. So if you could just...
Thank you, James.
You're welcome. So if you could just introduce yourself and say your full name, because I am terrible with names.
No problem. So I'm Priyanka Modi, born in India, raised in India, and I have a beautiful education journey from the time, I was maybe 8 months, and I think I'll tell you more about it later. And so now I'm a mother, single mother of 8-year-old who's soon going to be 9 in October. And I joined education in the pursuit of understanding what's more inside and what's best, what would be best for my kid. Actually, by profession, I'm an optometrist, but I never got to explore much after I completed my MPhil, just after 1 year of my practice. I welcomed my son Atharva, and after that, it was all about understanding education. It was all about, I just let him lead and I just followed, just trying to figure out how I could make learning easy and happy for him. So with that journey, I'm here. Yeah.
Right, excellent. So we're going to learn more about that. But before we get to what you're doing now, which is very, very interesting and something that resonates a lot with me, we're going to take you down memory lane. We're going to find out a bit more about your background, where you're from, your childhood, any kind of memorable experiences that you want to share. I know you've shared some with me already, and I am curious to know particularly about your school. So let's start. So do you have any siblings, brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have 2 elder brothers. One is here in India, in 𝗪𝗘𝗘𝗞. He's managing my father's business. My father is into textile business. My younger brother, he is elder to me, but he's the second brother. He is in Switzerland right now. He moved to Switzerland from US, I think 3 years back, 2019. He got married there and he settled there.
All right, excellent. Because both Laszlo and myself are in Switzerland. So,
yeah. And he's also a budding entrepreneur, and he does a lot with social media, and I think, yeah, he'll be happy to connect with you all.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you should definitely connect with us since we're here, and afterwards you can send them a copy of this recording as well.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So, have you ever lived abroad or always in India?
No. It was always India. So far, I haven't. I mean, I wanted to go and pursue my PhD. I was applying, but that was the time I got married, and Adi came, so the plan was postponed, and so I never did PhD.
All right. So you still plan to do the PhD or not?
I mean, if it were, I was pursuing vision science, I would have definitely. But now that it's all, everything has changed. So I don't think so I'll be doing that part.
Yeah. I personally am quite proud that I didn't do a PhD. I didn't get kind of indoctrinated into the system. But I mean, that's another story. So do you have any ambitions or anything to travel or live abroad?
Yes, absolutely. I definitely want to travel a lot. And I don't know, it's the beginning of education next.in. See, I wasn't a dreamer or that, but I wanted to travel, and that was the reason, one of the reasons why I wanted to do PhD. And I was, but life changed and things changed, and I had to take care of my son. So I had to hold on what I wanted at that time. But now I think with education next, I feel that I will have opportunities to travel and spread the word about education, and I will get a lot of opportunities, and I am wishing for that, and that's where I'm heading towards that. So.
Right. So the fact that you keep mentioning education next, that is the name of your business.
Yes.
And I know we're not going to go into the business just yet because I still want to hear these kind of childhood stories. But how did you come up with the name? I mean, education makes sense.
Yeah, I call it next because I feel that what we are learning or what we have learned, we need something more than that, right? And next was one word where because it's going to keep changing. Education is today, this is something, tomorrow something else is going to come. For example, today if we have all gone to online schooling or we have gone to online learning, tomorrow it will be all AI, and things will keep changing. So I don't know what is going to stay. That's why I called it education next, because it's going to keep evolving. It's never going to be the same. The situation will not be the same. The way we learn is not going to be the same, right? And somebody will come with a new way of learning, and we might appreciate that. That's why it's called education.
Yeah, I like the name because when I think of next, you probably hear the expression like, what you're going to do next with your life, right? What comes next? And next kind of, well, what is next? I mean, like when you're a kid, like what will I be when I grow up? But then, well, what's next after that? I mean, when you retire, what's next? So kind of makes a lot of sense. So before we get there, because I want to know more about this education, let's backtrack. So you, as a kid growing up, did you go to a regular school or any particular school?
Okay, so when I was beginning, the time when you start going to school, it was a very local school. I used to stay with my grandma, so she was a headmistress of government schools in India, right? So there was she was working as a government headmistress, and so it was a government school in India. The government schools are very different from private schools. So her duty as a teacher was more to bring the students to school, the local children from their homes to the school. So it was rather a tough task. It's not that children show up to the school. The teachers have to really go to villages and get the children and bring to the school. So her job was rather a tough one. But when she was bringing me up, I have spent my early days with her going to the school. And that's where I learned the basics of, letters and numbers. But when I was with my grandma, of course, I was a very pampered child, and my mom was really worried that, where the education will go. And if this is how she's being raised, she will be very adamant and stubborn and things like that. So she had a different vision for my education, and that's where boarding school came in, right? So I was sent to boarding school, I would rather say, because nobody asked my permission. So I was maybe 6.5 years old at that time. So I started my schooling journey from there.
And did your brother go to boarding school as well?
Yeah, one of my brother went to the boys' school, which was adjacent to the girls' school. It was a boarding school.
Okay.
And my eldest brother stayed with my parents because he has asthma and some breathing issues. So he had to stay with my parents.
All right. So at the boarding school, you had some adventures there. Was it like a Harry Potter kind of place?
See, it was a very old building. It was, built during the British time. So huge colonial structure and huge pillars and arches. And so there were a lot of...
It was very Harry Potter.
So there were
and you had broomsticks as well?
No. The broomstick was only for the, help to clean the hostel, not a real flying one. But we had a lot of stories, so there were many stories, like hostels. I don't know if you have ever gone to a boarding school as a young child, but things become very different when you go to a boarding school when you are 6.5 years old and you have not made sense of anything at all. You don't even know to recognize your shoe, or your socks. I mean, till today, I dream of having lost my shoe or having lost my socks, and I have no, I have no uniform to wear. I still dream of these things because these have happened to me as a child so much that trauma has never gone.
So, one particular day in the school, what were you doing that you were looking around and you unlocked the door or something? I mean, tell us this.
So I was in, by the time I was in grade 10, so the school was only from grade 1 to 10, right? And what happened was, so there was this mysterious door which was always locked. Even when we were younger and we used to pass through that hall, um, we always used to wonder, what is behind that door. And there were some stories of, we had a swing in the middle of our playground. And, suddenly that swing had disappeared when we were in grade 7. So there were a lot of stories about that swing, that where has the swing gone? And then we came to know about the story that some girls apparently saw a woman swinging in the sea, in that swing at night, and the woman would go from one corner to the other corner, from corner of one building to the other corner, and it was very scary for us. So this became a huge story going around that, at night at 12 o'clock, if you want to use the washroom and you come out of the dormitory, you see that there's a woman in the swing wearing a big sari. You know what's a sari, right? It has this thing hanging down. So the sari used to go from one corner to the other corner. So when the story started going around a lot, principal took an action and the swing was removed. And there were a couple of things like that which was being removed one by one. And we thought that everything that was removed is inside that room.
But let me just pause you there a minute, because I know everybody wants to know what's going to go on behind the door. Did the teachers ever say why the door was locked and any stories behind it?
See, if you ask teachers, they never tell you, right? They say, don't ask such things. Leave me alone, or what are you even thinking? Focus on your studies. Those were the only things we used to focus, right? What is behind the door and why has the swing been removed? Those only things we used to focus. So nobody, I don't remember asking a teacher or my warden. But when we were in grade 10, finally, we were in that room where that hidden room was there. So,
how old were you at the time?
How old I was at that time?
Yes.
In grade 10, I must have been 14, if I'm not wrong, 13 or 14.
Okay.
Or 15, I'm not sure. So, so now that we were in the dormitory, and that room was inside that dormitory, right? And now this was a chance to find out what's there behind the door. And so one day, so we were called a bunch of naughty girls. Okay, we were very naughty, as the school told us. But because in my batch we were, the ratio of naughty girls were more than the ratio of not naughty girls, right? So when the prefect badges were given, office bearers, right? There are office bearers in school. So we were made the office bearers because the vice principal thought that if we are given the badge, we will be able to control the school better, because we know what happens, because we are the naughtiest, the naughty ones.
Naughty one. This really sounds like Harry Potter. I'm picturing it kind of like that with the badge, and now you've got the authority to go around and unlock some doors you're not supposed to.
And so, we had 3 houses. We had Faith House, Peace House, and Joy House. And I was from Faith House. And actually, I became the vice house captain of Faith House. So based on your naughtiness, you were getting good positions, right? And I had 3 batches. I had one batch from grade 9, one from 10, and then I got the vice house captain. I was very happy. I didn't know what was actually going on. And because you were the office bearer, it comes with a lot of power. Okay, you have a lot of power in school, because now you can punish people. In the dining hall, if somebody is talking, you can just ask them to leave the dining hall. So there's a lot of power that came with responsibility. So because you had to control the dining hall and things like that. Yeah. So where we were, I completely forgot. I'm so in the story.
I'm just gonna pause you a second. We just got Pete has just joined. So Pete, you're gonna, rather than you hear the punchline without the story, right? We've got Priyanka here as the guest, and she's just telling us about her childhood. and in India, where she was in this like Harry Potter kind of school, boarding school, and she was in the dormitories, and she was one of the naughty girls, and they always were curious about what's behind this door that's always locked, right? And we're just getting to that bit now. So you've just joined at the right time.
Perfect. Thank you. Please go on, Priyanka.
Yeah, all right. So then what happens? So we got these batches, and we were quite, so we felt we could do a lot of things, right? So it gave us the power and the courage to explore, and we knew that what will happen after all. That kind of feeling had come. And so one fine day, we all, we decided that we'll stay awake, and we were planning this from a long time. So we collected a lot of, torchlights, and we collected some, hand band or something to look like we were going on a mission.
It wasn't candles then. You didn't have lanterns and candles. I mean,
no, that we didn't have. We had torchlight. So
it was very modern then.
So we had these torchlights, and we had collected from. Another problem was we didn't have the key to that door. So the problem was how we will crack the door open. And then, but one of my friends said that the warden has this huge bunch. So one of us will have to steal that bunch and try every key. And so we distributed the responsibility. And for me, it was leading, when we opened that door, I would be the first one. So everybody had to go through some, so one of them took charge of finding the key, and we tried all the keys at night.
Was it kind of this big ring of keys?
It was a bunch. It was a huge bunch, but not that big kind of thing. And the first day we could only do was we could, manage the key. So it was already around maybe 1 or 2, so we could not go that day. So we had to, we planned now that we have identified the key. We will go the next day, because we needed some time, because we didn't know how big is the tunnel. So the next day we take the key, and we have everything ready, and we enter that thing. And now when we enter, there are stairs, a couple of stairs, and it's all.
Let me just pause it. Was the key like an old-fashioned kind of like?
Not very old-fashioned, but you don't get those keys now for sure.
Okay, and I mean, was it a big door? I mean, did it like the door creak as you opened it because it's full of cobwebs?
Yeah, it was.
Well, you have to add that about in the story, makes it sound better.
Sorry. So I mean, when we opened the door, and it wasn't very heavy. We had to literally, push the door to get us in, because it was jammed maybe from long. And when we
and the rats were coming out as you opened the door.
No, there were no rats. There were nothing like that. But and there was one problem, that we had only one torchlight that day. I don't know how this happened, but we had only one torchlight, and that too only with the person who was standing in front. So now the people who were behind me, they didn't have torch. So I was in the first place or the second place, I'm not very sure. But the problem was I can only remember there were spider webs everywhere. Okay. And
you went in with 5 and came out with 4.
So we all managed going inside, and I don't know, people are falling behind or what, because I can't see and they can't see.
I know what happens when you go in these dark places. I mean, the one at the back that they like get, and then this goes from 5, 4, 3, and then you're on your own.
Yeah, and they are just following. They were touching the person in front of them, maybe tapping or touching their shoulder, and they were walking. And the moment I stepped down, 4 stairs, I see that swing. Now, my heart is, palpitating at a very high thing, because I saw that swing, and that story, that swing story was true. It was because from 7th I had heard that the swing was here, and the swing is here. So I know that there's something wrong with this tunnel. So I picked that, I just, I just filtered myself and I walk inside. And now I don't know if I should say this on record, but my principal had died a year back, 1 or 2 years back. And we had this interesting thing that, it was not a normal death, it was a murder. So we thought about all this. We created this, that it was a murder. And we thought we will find some clues about that murder here. And so we went inside. I kept going, and then there was another flight of stairs one side, and I saw some papers littered and very old yellowish papers, and I picked up some papers. I couldn't make sense of many things. There was a trunk. I didn't have the courage to open the trunk.
Sorry, I'm trying to picture all of this in my mind, right? So there was no light switch you could switch on.
No, absolutely not. There was no light switch.
And there was no windows or anything?
No, nothing. You just, it's like, a sort of a long attic sort of a thing. You don't have any window outlet or.
But it's like a storage place or something.
And to see, there were a lot of theories behind this closed door. Some people said that, this is a tunnel which British had made, and it will lead to, another block in the school. Some said that there's a tunnel, this tunnel connects to the boys' school. Some said that this tunnel connects to a, city. You keep going and you will come out of the city somewhere. So many of us were expecting that it will open to the boys' school.
So you'd be happy with that because you're the naughty girls.
And then, what if we find a door like that? But we kept going. And so when, after maybe 50 steps, I found that there's a wall and there's nothing there. And now my fear, I got really scared because I felt that maybe somebody is behind the wall. And suddenly I get that pang of, fear, and I turn around, the torch falls, and I say, run. And these girls are all running and falling, and somehow the torch is there inside, and we rush out because suddenly I felt that there's a wall and there might be a body inside, or I don't know, and then I got really scared. And then we rushed outside, and now we were all of us were so scared that we didn't count how many of us went inside. So now we had to lock the door, but our hands were shivering so much that we could not lock the door. So we had to just put the lock, and we kept the key on the, where the key is supposed to be. Somehow we managed. We went to our beds, and we were just breathing, and then we just, somebody said, hey, are you sure that all of us are here? Because we didn't count, and we have no idea if all of us have come back, and nobody had the courage to go back and see. So we said, okay, we'll do one thing. There were 26 of us in this dormitory.
But wait, you didn't, before you went, you didn't say, right, there's 5 of us going, like the famous 5, the adventurous 5.
No. My son reads famous 5 a lot, yeah.
Yeah, but you didn't say, right, 5 of us are going.
Didn't. No, we don't say things like that.
And we only came back with 4.
We don't say things like that.
But so, how could you miss someone?
So, no, see, I didn't know if we didn't know if all of us are here. So the only way to check was in my dormitory. All the girls who went was from my dormitory, and we had 26 beds. So we said, okay, all of you be in your bed. Let me come and just take a round and see if all of you are there. It means all of us are here.
Yeah,
that's
call
how
out,
we found
yeah,
it.
You said call out who's not here. Hands up those ones that are not here.
And then, we so all of us were there, and And the funny thing is that all of us forgot by morning that we had to lock that lock. So the lock was still hanging, all right? And we became so busy after that we completely forgot. We had a lot of discussions about the, tunnel. This was there, the thing was there, see where it is going. And some brilliant people had the idea of taking axe one day and trying to, knock that wall down, but nobody had the courage. But one thing was, we completely forgot about that lock. And then what happens? Our warden goes on a round one day, and she finds out that how is this lock open? And then the problem starts, because now she starts asking who opened the lock. And if you girls don't own up, you will have this consequences, you will have that consequences. And now the other girls who knew that it was us preferred to keep quiet, but they kept looking at us, staring at us, that you better own up, because we don't want to be in trouble because of it. And we said, okay, give us some time. But finally we had to. So we were all.
I'm just curious. Was there someone left behind?
I told you, we checked all the beds. All of us were there, so nobody was left behind.
Yeah, but you said from your group. Wasn't there anyone that came from?
No, it was all from my group. See, other girls wouldn't do such things. No, it was all from my group.
All right, I'm thinking the warden's gone round there and opened the door, and the students popped out and said, "Thank goodness you came back."
See, we didn't have the courage that day to go and check for sure. We checked all the beds, all the girls were present, so we made sure that everybody was back.
But the thing is, I mean, as a kid, I mean, how many times has that happened then? You've been somewhere with your friends where you shouldn't be, and then one of them wants to play a trick on the others, and then they say, "Run!" and and then everyone's in mad panic, fighting each other to get out the door. So
yeah,
that was you. That was you then. So yeah, a real troublemaker.
No, not a real troublemaker, but
a naughty girl.
That's how you put it. But I don't know. I mean, these are the things I remember from boarding school. These were the things. Okay. I don't I don't remember.
All right, you didn't go back in.
No, we never went. It was a huge issue after that, because we were called to the principal's office, and we were scolded, and we were punished. But the principal knew that there was no point punishing these girls, because what would they do?
But why was it such a big deal then? I mean, it's just kind of kids being kids, isn't it?
It's we were punished because it was school's rules. I mean, what if something would have happened? What if somebody would have got lost, or somebody would have got hurt? And what were you trying to do inside? Why would you go there in the middle of the night? And what do you want to find out? And
adventure. I mean, kids like adventure. You say we've been watching too much Harry Potter.
We didn't have Harry Potter at that time, so we could say that. But yeah, I mean,
so knowing that story, and it was pre-Harry Potter, you could have written that story and be a millionaire now.
It's never too late,
All right. But I mean, we could talk about this one all day. We need to kind of move on. But was it related to anything? You said your principal had died like a year earlier. Was it any connection?
We couldn't find anything, but people said, hey, maybe behind the wall. And then we said, no, let's not do that. Let's not go and, break the wall. Nobody's doing that. It was very scary there inside.
But you said, so there's a boys' boarding school next to yours that is potentially, well, it wouldn't surprise me that there wasn't a tunnel between the two. It makes perfect sense.
Of course, there would have been, of course, because, these were, the story says that our school was the hospital, the British hospital, and the boys' school was the morgue, so where they bury the bodies. So that was the story. And even boys' school had these amazing schools.
Maybe they stored the bodies there.
That's what they said. I mean,
Was
that's
it
what
cold? Was it cold in there?
cows
Cold.
cold. No, it wasn't cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No. Let's move on because my imagination is going crazy now. Right. So, anyway, I forgot where we were now. Right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Harry Potter and broomsticks. Right. So you flew out the window with your broomstick. No, that's another story. Okay. So after your boarding school time, right? So when you left school, what did you do? I mean, kind of jobs and things.
Oh, I felt lost. I was completely lost after my boarding school experience because, see, I'll tell you, it was never about learning, what was happening in the school. Trust me, I never relate my boarding school journey to learning at all. Yes, I learned to communicate. That credit goes to the
Well,
boarding school.
you learn how to be a naughty girl and find the right key to open the secret
See,
door.
my mother had the idea of, sending me to boarding school so that I won't be naughty, right? And I explored on the same thing, the reason for which I was sent to the boarding school, right? So the idea that my mom thought when she goes to the boarding school, she will learn to behave, she won't be naughty and she won't be adamant. And I actually went to explore the same thing. Yes, in a different environment where kids were there and, I had more partners with me for climbing trees and for breaking ventilators and things like that. I've done, and that's the reason I don't relate learning with school at all. And so when I was out of the school after my 10th, I was completely lost. I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue of what was happening with me. And then my mom wanted me to stay with her for 2 years, and she found a local school there in my city. And it took me a lot of time, and I became this person who could not talk to boys, who, I was struggling. And I was doing okay. I mean, pretty well with academics because I came from ICSE and this was a CBSE board. So ICSE students are better with English and reading and comprehension and things like that. So English was very easy for me, but otherwise the environment and the teachers, and I didn't like it at all. So I just went to school and I came back. I lost all the fun and all the things that I used to do. And so that was a great flip I had. And then my parents wanted me to pursue medical, and it was always about it that you have to study and you have to write exams. And so the story completely changed after that. But I was not able to focus. I was not enjoying much. I was missing my friends. For 1 year, I just kept writing letters to my friends, and I kept receiving letters from my friends. I mean, I had so many greeting cards, and at that time we used to send letters and birthday cards to each other. Now we don't send. But I remember so many birthday cards that my father was tired of receiving the birthday card. And he said, "What is this girl? How can she receive so many birthday cards and letters? What has she done in school?" And then slowly, you start losing on those friends. And it was, sometimes when I think back of boarding school, it feels like it was some parallel world where I lived for 10 years. It was nothing close to real, away from parents, and became very stubborn and very resilient. And I started having almost no feelings. I was very disconnected with my family. And, I couldn't feel their pain. And I felt for a very long time that it all happened because my mother didn't keep me with her. And I was very angry for many years because I felt that, I felt my friends were everything for me. And I didn't, that connection, you have with what I have with my son, I never had with my parents. And though their objective was to educate me better, but I completely got disengaged and disconnected with them. And now my mother and I are very close to each other. But those early years, I have completely missed out on what a family is, completely. And I have lived in a great pain in my early years when I was separated from my grandmother. It was very painful. Those nights were very painful when I had to sleep all by myself. And I used to miss my grandmother terribly. But I couldn't share with anybody. It was very, very painful.
So is your grandmother still alive?
No. She,
okay.
It's been, I think, 10
so
years.
Do you think boarding school changed you? Do you think if you went to a regular school, you would have been different, or the boarding school, because you're away for so long? And I mean, by the sounds of it, it's just a girls' boarding school, and then the boys was something separate. So do you think that affected your education as well?
I see. You know what, James? I think that every experience that has happened to me in different parts of my life has made me what I am today. I was not someone, like I said, I didn't know, though I was learning well. I wasn't, struggling with learning any time in my life. But I wasn't, there were many things I didn't know as a child, or I wasn't curious at all. I never asked questions. As a child, I never wondered why this happened. My son asked me so many questions. Why this train is fast, why this is this, why the plane is this, and because of him, I explored and I learned so much. And then I start thinking, as a child, I never asked questions at all. I never asked what the teacher told me. It was given as a homework. I came back, I finished my homework, and I went to school. Or I didn't do the homework. I hid my face in the class, and I tried that the teacher doesn't see me. I have done this in all the chemistry classes. I have just, I used to hide my face and sit. Because I hated chemistry. I didn't want the teacher to come to me. I used to sleep in geography and history classes. So I was not curious. Maths was a big thing for me.
So do you think it was the way that the subjects were taught, the teacher that was teaching the subjects? Or because I know, when I was at school, I had some subjects that I loved, but the most boring teacher. And then I had the other way around, subjects I hated, but the most exciting teacher. So a lot of it's to do with the teacher.
Of course, it has to do with the teacher. It has to do with the system. I think the entire school system was very boring, very, very boring. And
that's why you were naughty, because you had to have some excitement somewhere.
Yeah, basically, boarding schools, you have your friends all the time. There's so much you can do when you have friends all the time.
Do you think with the boarding school, you create that bond because you're there so long with your friends, that kind of relationship lasts a lifetime?
Yeah. I have some friends, even those who left when we were in grade 7, we are still very close friends. So close friends as in we don't visit each other because we are in different states, but we are always in touch. We know about each other's life, and at least we are still friends.
Okay, so let's kind of move this forward now to more about what you're doing. So when you were a kid, you wanted to be a copywriter. A journalist, should I say, journalist.
So I used to write these stories. I used to, when English language, we had English language and English literature.
But so, you could write scary stories for kids.
Yes, I used to do this. I used to create these long stories with. The reader wouldn't know what happened in the end. They had to think about it. Like I don't know if we have time to share a story, but
have you got stories that you wrote?
No, I don't think so. I have those books anymore. I used to write in my test books.
All right, you didn't write
But
them.
I remember one of those stories. I mean, later, if we have time, I can maybe talk about it. So, but most of my stories were where, you don't know the end, what happens there. But all the clues tell you that something is going to happen.
But you never get to the end.
It's very predictable, but at the same time, I don't tell you that this is going to happen.
Oh, you don't tell us the ending. We have to make it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the clues tell you that this could have happened.
Anyway, so were you a journalist at all or not?
No, the first time I mentioned it to my dad that I don't want to take science, I was in ninth, and that was we had to take we had to pick a subject, science or commerce. Yeah. And I asked my dad that I don't want to take science, and he got really angry. He was really upset because all his life he wanted me to be a doctor. So he was really, really upset. And he said, you don't even know what journalists have to go through, this, that. And my mom said that just don't do it. So I was like, okay, I took science. And so I was I used to tell a lot of stories to my friends. I would imitate people. I used to create stories and I used to keep them entertained a lot.
Yeah. So, we used to do that. We used to put on different, living in the UK, we put on different accents, and it was so funny. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, because the accents are really quite strong, aren't they? Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So, so I was very good with stories and.
Come on, can you put on an accent or something, or mimic someone, or can you
mimic? See, I used to mimic these people like teachers. I would mimic teachers, or I would mimic a boy from boys' school. So you wouldn't be able to laugh at my joke because you don't know those people. No, if you know those people, you will be able to laugh at my joke.
Yeah, we could laugh anyway.
Okay, so this teacher had this funny. What he used to do when he used to write on the board, the school blackboard, right? So he would turn and write on the board, but when he turns after writing, he would do like this. So I don't know what used to happen to him. So he would write on the board, and when he turns, he would like.
Maybe it's the sound of the chalk on the board.
It was very funny the way he used to do. Okay, so these people I would mimic. All these people, and there's some girls or some boys or some teachers, and I would do their acting and accent. I would mimic somebody from, I went to a bus and this seller is there who sells this chain and how he sells those things I used to do. So one teacher told me that, in another section, she announced that, bring Priyanka Modi's notebook. She has written a story and mysterious story, and so this is the way you should think and write. She said this in another section, and some of the girls came in the break and she told me, ma'am was talking about your story in a section, and that day I felt very good about myself. I felt, oh my God, my stories are being spoken about in other sections. Look at that. And that day I started believing I can be a journalist.
Yeah, just digressing a little bit. My brother was married to an Indian girl, right? And so he's been to India, he's met the families, and she got family in England, although she was born in England, right? But yeah, he mimics the accent, the way that they speak English all the time. And I mean, similar like to your accent. And I mean, they think it's hilarious, right? They don't think like he's like taking the mickey out of them. They just think it's so funny, right? And they say he does the accent better than them. but it's funny when you mimic people. But I mean, you have to do it in like it's a mutual fun thing rather than like being nasty.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
But anyway, let's get on to what you're doing now. Otherwise, we'll be talking all day, right? So, So how did you get to doing what you're doing? So Pete doesn't know what you're actually doing, right?
Yeah.
No idea, right? So what are you doing? Name the company again. How long you've been doing it? Why was it a pivot point that decided that I'm going to do education or whatever? Because of the lack of yours at the boarding school or whatever. And also, before I forget, at some point, can you send me a link so I can check out the boarding school? I want to know if there's any secrets to this secret passage and stuff. And I'm going to do some research.
Yeah. After the meeting, I'll send the link. Would that be fine?
Oh yeah, after. Yeah, not now.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. So about what I do now, I took on this journey of understanding learning for my son 7 years back, when he was 2.5 years.
Sorry. We can make it interactive. So if anyone's got questions, feel free to jump in.
All right. So that's how I started learning about education. And, I was in Chennai, India at that time. And Chennai is known for, schools and the kind of education it has, better than other states in India. And then what happens is, I found a school, it was nearby, and so Adi starts going to that school, and the first or second day he comes, he's just 2.5 years old, and he comes back with a paper, it's a worksheet, and he had to, write a letter, and because he went late, he went 2 months later, he had to they had reached to the letter M by the time. And he is 2.5 years old. And the teacher says, because he has joined late, we have already reached to the letter M. He has to write M now. And so you will have to help him write the other letters. And I was shocked because he was just 2.5 years old. And I really got scared. I mean, what is...
It's a bit early, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And because, they were focusing on teaching children really fast and how other children can write these letters, and parents have already helped them at home. So I got really scared, and then I started talking to my neighbors about other schools that children go to, and then I came to learn about a school which has a different approach. So I went and met the principal, and they told me, no, we are not in a hurry. We start writing only when the child is in grade 1 and things like that. So it was. That is the time I started understanding education, and I started learning. And the first time when I spoke to the principal, she wanted me to, learn more about them. And after 2 or 3 conversations, I met her 2-3 times, and she offered me a job in the school. It just happened. And I wasn't doing anything at that time.
Yeah. Because, sorry, what sort of job were you doing at school?
So they needed a science teacher desperately at that time.
Science teacher,
primary science. That was a Cambridge school. All right. And they came to know about my background, about I've done my MPhil in vision science, and they asked me. I said, no, I have never taught young children, and I don't think so I can do it. So they asked me to do a demo for them. I did a demo, and they were very happy with the demo, and they asked me to join. And
yeah, what sort of demo?
A demo is like you will be given a topic, and you will have to, teachers will be there, and some students will be there, and you will have to teach a topic.
Because when you say science, I mean, you mean just kind of general science, or
it's Cambridge
in a particular field?
Science, primary science.
Oh,
so they had pores and plants and other topics, right? And because I wasn't doing anything at that time, and I had not joined the clinic. I was working in the hospital before, but after Adi, I had stopped going. So I thought anyway.
So you were doing science in the hospital? Experiments?
No, I was an optometrist, right? So I was doing.
I'm joking. I was saying, yeah, we did science experiments with people in the hospital, and I think that would be good for the kids.
I was a researcher at that time.
Okay.
But after Adi, I wasn't doing that. So I just said, okay, it's only half a day, I can do it. And that's when I joined the school, and me and Adi used to go together. And I learned a lot about how, what is Cambridge. I didn't know anything about that. What is Cambridge? IGCSE, what is, how this course works, what they learn. Everything about education, when the phonics should start and things. And 3-4 years I was there, I moved to program coordination because I joined some social, events that was happening in school. I got interested, and from then I moved to another school, which continued. I continued my journey of understanding why students should be limited to only things that happen in the school. So I started connecting my students, school students, with outside organization. So it's like community outreach programs. I started proposing to schools, and slowly I kept moving. And then I came across this very interesting subject called Global Perspectives from Cambridge. And I went and I explored what subject this is. And I thought it's a very useful subject for students to understand how to write, how to think critically, and how to evaluate. And then I rose to, a position where I was, providing schools with programs that were happening outside, giving students volunteering opportunities outside the school. And that happened for it was 5 years, and then COVID came in, and then I saw that suddenly everything is going online, and I came back to my hometown at that time, and I realized that we can all work online. I mean, education can happen from anywhere. And when Adi was with me, not going to the school, we were learning so much together. Um, and it was so exciting, and he was I mean, there were days that he was struggling to get up and go to school, but when we were here, when we were together, he would come and tell me that I want to learn today this, Mad, yesterday you spoke about this podcast, I want to hear it today. And then I could see Adi very closely, and every day I was just packing myself and him to the school. We were both packing ourselves and going to the school. And suddenly, when we were together, I realized that we were learning so much. We were learning the best classes from home. We were doing art class by Wendy Mack. We were doing, Scholastic had all these programs free. 𝗘𝗔𝗖𝗛 had started Earth School. We were doing Earth School classes from home. And there was this person, some Vic, who was doing these exercises, and we were doing exercises from home. And the entire curriculum was happening from home, but my son was absolutely excited about it. And every day he was learning, and we were, hearing podcasts from these writers, who have written these amazing books. So I realized that just when I'm packing him to school and myself, I am so much dependent on what they are teaching him, right? And he's just getting inside a box, and I am thinking this is the best school in the city, and I'm literally picking and dropping him there, again picking him back. We don't have time for anything. We eat our dinner, we manage to do our things, and we sleep. But now with internet, I realized, and now that in COVID times, anyways, I didn't have a choice, but I realized we could do so many things together, and both of us were so happy. Learning. I was learning, he was learning. And it went on like that. And then when I moved to my hometown, I again started looking for schools. And when I visited a couple of schools, I was very unhappy with what was going on. I spoke to some of them, and I understood that these are not the schools Adi can go to. It would be suddenly bringing him down to something, and he will lose interest in his learning altogether. So I said, let me look for an online school. And I found an online school in India, and that is only 3 hours per day. So that's basic English, math. And so I wanted to see how he does, because even in Chennai, he had done online school, 1 year of online school. With the school he was already studying it, and he was doing great. And after that 2-3 hours, he was having all the time for himself. So we continued the online schooling for him, and I was working online. I still work with that school where I was working. I work as an education consultant, more like a program consultant, where I bring different programs to the school, and I give volunteering opportunities for students.
Okay, so I mean, this sounds excellent. So yeah, I'm still thinking about Harry Potter and castles and things. So I'm thinking that I'm just thinking about like when you do remote schooling, right, and when you do homeschooling. Like you mentioned earlier that you created such a bond with your friends that you shared the boarding school with and everything, and kind of the adventures that you got up to, even, and kind of being kind of naughty and mischievous and doing things that maybe you're not supposed to. But that was kind of the fun of childhood as well. Now, I that could be missing if you do homeschooling and remote schooling. So it would be nice to like, I mean, I'm just thinking that the kids away that do homeschooling or remote schooling or whatever, send them away to this kind of place. And then for the summer holidays or a period of time, so they're with all their friends and they have these adventures. They're encouraged like to explore and be mischievous and whatever, and maybe even guided kind of people that come, teachers or whatever, that actually encourage that, like a Harry Potter kind of thing. Now, I know my mind is drifting and we're kind of digressing away, but I feel that would be something that could be missing if you just do everything remote and homeschooling, that the kids don't get that classroom experience of being mischievous. Because I found that if I could remember anything from school, it probably wasn't the subject. It was the fun of being naughty with my friends, or the daydreaming, or fooling around and stuff like that. These were the memorable times, not the teacher or the learning. And what do you think? I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, of course, it makes sense. See,
I
James,
mean, also the audience, I mean, what do you think? Because this is very much about education and trying to look at education from a different perspective. Pete.
And teach your son as much as possible. I think that's really important. But I also think that all those other things that James is speaking about,
Pete, you're frozen. Yeah, you're frozen a bit.
Okay, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
No. Still broken?
No, it seems okay now.
Okay.
It was Deborah arriving. Deborah, you caused a problem.
Deborah did it to me. My question was, I understand why you want your son to learn so much, and you could teach together, you could teach him way more than he was getting in the school. So that's encouraging. But the part that James was talking about and that you experienced in your own kind of school setting, that interaction, those friendships, how do you get that, and how do you think about it? That's my question.
James, can I talk or?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, all right. So the times have changed completely. And of course, I mentioned the fun, adventurous part where, I had this very interesting episode of what I did, but there was a huge trauma behind what I've gone through in my early years when I was going in a school, when I was learning in school. And a lot of things, like I said, I've gone through when I was separated. But that doesn't mean that, every child goes through that. But in the schools that I have gone and I've seen children, I have, with my experience or Adi's experience, I have never seen him waking up happy and going to the school. It was every day a rush. It was very, very stressed environment for us. And I felt very guilty of doing that every day to him, waking him up, forcing him. It can differ from my experience to yours and many other parents. But I didn't see him enjoying the classes. He had friends there. He still has friends. Where we live, we have friends around here. He goes and plays in the evenings. He has friends. The people he attends the classes. They talk later. They have. Anyways, even children now, they prefer talking. They do video calls. They do messages, and neighborhood friends are always there to play with. So we found this arrangement very convenient, and he is very happy with this arrangement. He would the struggles that we were facing while we'd had to go to school, and he was so tired. He used to be so tired end of the day. When he used to come back, he used to have hardly any energy left in him. He would just sleep 2 hours straight after he was back from the school. And I always felt that this was not fair, for a very young child. And it wasn't fair for me either when I was young to be sent alone in the school and learn to figure out everything myself. It was very painful for me. It was only in 9th and 10th that I started really enjoying the school and other things, and adventure and everything was part of it. But it was quite late, and by the time I think Adi grows, he will be able to decide what he wants. If he says, I want to go to a school, he's most, I would always send him to a school if he wants at that time. But now our situation, even my personal situation, this setting works for both of us in a very, very convenient way. And I felt that I see him, blooming into a very, very happy learner. Everything was a stress for him before, but now I see him, being happy to learn. He's always there. I don't have to chase him. I never have to chase him, to be frank, to do his homework. And for children, their early part of life is mostly about school, homework, parents chasing them behind. Have you learned this? Have you done this? Is your math? I don't have to do this. In fact, my elder brother once told me that you're very lucky. Adi learns by himself. And then I realized every parent can be lucky if they want, if in that sense, because we have outsourced everything outside, and we have dependent on us. We are so much dependent on a system that we think that system will be fair, and that system will do justice, and that is the best system, and that is the best school in the town, and that maybe for some it might suit, and even Adi can go and have fun and come home, but he'll be too tired at end of the day. And with regards to if he wants to pick up any hobby and he wants to learn badminton, or if he wants to play something, he can always join a class and learn, right?
Yeah. No, I agree that. I mean, joining classes. I mean, my kids. I mean, I have 3 kids. As I said, 9-year-old son and twins, boy and a girl, that are 6. And I mean, my eldest son keeps saying to me, do I have to go to school? I don't enjoy school. I don't like school. And it's kind of a weekly thing. He's always saying the same. And I'm thinking, I mean, it's not as if the school's far away. It's on our perimeter fence of where we live. So, but yeah, it's a challenge for him, but he enjoys the playing with the kids and whatever. But I think if I remember back at school, the things that I did enjoy were actually being naughty. Now, I don't know if it's because I'm a naughty boy, or is it because that was the fun things. I remember sitting in the class on wooden chairs, and the teacher with the blackboard writing on the blackboard, and like you're misbehaving behind their back. And then when they turn around, you pretend like everything's okay and you're concentrating or daydreaming out the window. And I know, childish kind of funny things. And that becomes the memorable part. That I can't remember any subject or any teacher that I could actually say that about. Or I don't know if it's just me, but I mean, it just seemed to be the challenge. So, yeah. I think, Priyanka, while I know you said that you had to change your battery or something or whatever, so we'll just wait for you to come back. But open it up to the others. I mean, Paul and Deborah, I mean, with schooling and everything, do you believe that, was the schooling good? Was there memorable parts? Would it be done? Could you see it done differently now?
I could definitely speak to that just very, very quickly, because I don't know when I'll have to hop off here, but for me, I've seen remembering how school was for me 30 years ago and seeing how school is now, it's only more traumatizing, I see, because what we end up doing is we leave our kids to fend for themselves, figure things out, and they're mostly relying on other peers. Not all schooling is like that. Thank goodness now we have some options that are non-traditional, but I would definitely say that that's still applicable for all traditional school places, is that these instances of bullying here in the United States, there's a lot of violence that's happening in schools. These things are happening because the system doesn't work. And we empowering our kids to be able to guide their own learning is really important. And there are schools of thought on that, like Montessori or Reggio Emilia, but again, it's all about how it's actually applied by the institution. Sometimes they do a great job of actually letting the kids guide their own learning, and sometimes they don't. So, which I can see from experience, having put my child in a few different Montessori schools. So that's what I have to say on that.
Were you a naughty girl at school?
No.
No.
I always got in trouble for talking a lot, but that was back when I was young enough and impressionable enough. I was still trying to follow the rules.
All right, but that kind of misbehaving and stuff at school. I mean, did you see that when you were at school? And
yes,
but I mean, without being kind of going too extreme, like being the bully and stuff, was that something that was kind of fun as well?
Yeah, I mean, it was always fun to see if we could get away with things. I know a lot of kids were much more into it than I was. I didn't get involved, but it was still entertaining for me to see, when the kids would push the envelope.
And Paul?
I was good as gold.
Yeah, I believe you. Right. But I mean, just from what I've seen from schooling, I mean, it's not until you have your own kids go to school that you start thinking, well, nothing's actually changed. And I think those feelings of not wanting to go to school on a Monday morning or something that I used to get, like when my son says it, and it's like 40 years later, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, I mean, why? Haven't schools changed? But obviously not. So welcome back, Priyanka. I don't know if you heard these you heard. Okay.
Yeah. I heard, yeah. So, yeah.
So anyway, I know, I mean, Deborah, this is kind of something Deborah also, I mean, we've spoken at length with as well. And there's other people. So, I mean, I would suggest that people start connecting here. But there's just, we need to wrap up soon because we've gone way over the time. And we just want to get to the point that, so tell us about what you're doing now and who do you typically do this and how do you do it? And what do you need, if anything?
Yeah, James. So, I have been working as a education consultant for a school right now. So I work remotely. I suggest them programs that's happening outside the school. I mean, I connect them with NGOs or other organizations who are giving opportunities to students to volunteer or, get them experience out of the school. This is what I do. But I have started my own, website called Education Next. And what I do is I write a lot. I research and write a lot about education that's happening. It's educationnext.in. So I learn a lot about what's happening in the education field right now. How are different, what are unschoolers doing? What are online people who are learning online? What are they doing? What is online school? How is online school working? What are the benefits? If you are in a situation like when COVID happened, what could you do? How technology is taking us and where it is leading to. I'm in a journey to understand that. And I have started strongly believing that education is not limited to a school or an institution. It can happen from anywhere. And we need not wait for children to be, children to spend 12, 15 years in a school and then understand, okay, now I have done my 12th and now I am going to, restart my journey of learning and do something. There were many times in my life I realized that I was very good at certain things, but my parents asked me to wait till I do 12th. They asked me to wait till I finished my graduation. Then they asked me to wait till I do my master's. So I strongly believe that we are just wasting time in, waiting till, I grow and I become 25 years and then I start, okay, now it's too late. I have to, whatever I get, I start working and I have to earn money. Now I think children have a lot of options from home if they have the right support and guidance. They can start their learning, they can pursue their interest, and they can be guided to learn what they want. And that is what I'm doing in Education Next.in. Sorry for that sound.
What's that?
I'll tell you what's that. So
is it a call for prayer or something?
Yes. So there is this evening prayer that happens. My aunt does this.
Right.
So that's the sound. Yeah. So so where I was, now I've started strongly believing that anywhere, we can learn anywhere. And now I have been traveling. See, I was not in a very happy relationship when I was in Chennai, and I was stuck with the school. I was stuck with my job. I had no idea how to come out of it, because that was the way I was making my living. That was the only way I thought education could happen, and that was the only way I thought Atharva could learn. But when I moved back to my hometown, and I realized I could work right from my home, and we were in a happy place, in a safer place, right? And then we were able to learn from where we were in a very beautiful way. And now we are close to our family. We, now I'm with my aunt. I was in my mother's home a couple of months back. Adi is getting to meet all the relatives, all the family members. See, I was always away from my family. I never knew what some festivals, we have a lot of festivals in India. We celebrate so many things. There are festivals for husband, there are festivals for wives, and there are festivals this, for that. And this was my culture. But I was raised in a completely, Christian school. And when I came back home, I could not relate to any of the festivals at home. So there was so much gap. And then my mom expected me to learn everything in 2 years when I was with her. It was very difficult for me. I was really disconnected. Still, I cannot pray. I can't dress like, a particular way in festivals. I feel very awkward while everybody does that, because I never felt that connection. And still, I'm not homesick now at all. I can travel, I can be anywhere I want. And I think Adi should know his family members. He should get to meet his family members. He should get to enjoy the culture and tradition. He should not become like me, who is nowhere, who can't relate to a culture, who can't relate to a festival. I have become someone like that, a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I think he should be aware. I feel he should be aware of these things, if not follow.
Yeah, I love your story. And for those that joined a bit later, there's some fantastic story that is so funny. Right? So when I send the recording back, you have to listen to that, particularly about kind of the Harry Potter school. Right. So we need to wrap this up now. So yeah, I've dropped in the link in the chat, which I'll also do in the notes as well afterwards, your LinkedIn. So what's the best way to get hold of you? And also, if people want to talk to you about education, I also think, I've been following on LinkedIn in particular about education. There's a mutual person there, both Deborah and myself know, Beth. I think you might have come across her.
LinkedIn is the best place. I have been writing and posting a lot on LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
And then from that, you get to see a community of others that are talking about the same thing or actually doing something. There was an interesting school in, I think it's called Acton Academy, and they're talking about doing it completely different. It's not homeschooling per se, but it's not traditional schooling. It's something different with the kids. And there's a whole website on it, videos, everything. That's great. So that, I think that's a lot in line with what you're saying. Also, maybe to capture that bit that I feel is missing, kind of the naughty, mischievous part at school that I enjoyed the most. If you could learn how to be mischievous, then I'd be an A+, right? But these are also important, I think, attributes to, if you didn't have that, you're kind of suppressing something that, why can't I be a little bit naughty, a bit cheeky, and a bit of this within reason? And I think that goes hand in hand with education as well, because you naturally get, like when you told the story, you went through, opened the door and you went through into this dark passageway with a torch, and someone was leading the way and the people behind didn't have the torch, so they were like holding each other's shoulder. You needed a natural leader to want to like lead the people through. They say, I'm not doing it. And then you say, well, I'll do it. Right. So just adventures like that, actually, this kind of teamwork and everything else. And you learn a lot from that one experience that you can take forward, that only if teachers actually saw that, they would say, rather than chastise you for being naughty and who did that, they're going to get detention and punished for it. Look at it and think, how can we learn from that? How can we look and see, well, there's a natural leader. Who led the way? Like, tell me about the story, share the experience. And that you could turn something that was kind of naughty into something magical as a learning tool as well. That we naturally got a leader. The teacher could ask the right question. Who led the party? What did you take with you? Who decided on who's going? And that is kind of natural leadership. You don't have to wait until you start to be an entrepreneur that you decide that that's what I'm going to do with my life. And then you're kind of learning there. Well, I did that when I was a kid at school. So that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things that go together. It's just that nobody's thinking necessarily about putting them together. I mean, the thinking of homeschooling or alternative schooling. And I think you kind of need a combination of different things that make the magic. But anyway, as I said, this is about you and your education next. I've shared the links in the chat. I'll share them also in the recording. I'll share them in the group and encourage people to connect. And you're on mute. Bianca, were you saying something?
Yes, James, you ask something?
Yeah, I mean, anything that you want to kind of leave us with. For me, it's also just talking to you has been an eye-opener into, it's made me realize, I'm going to use a word from Deborah, revolutionary educator, right? Maybe that's something for Deborah to use, right? Rather than learner. I mean, you have to have read her post to understand, but that's why I encourage people here to connect with each other, because there's some absolutely magical posts that go out there and some great discussions that we can have. But anyway, Priyanka, a fantastic story. Can you leave us with something that we can?
James, I've been writing a lot on LinkedIn lately. I post daily, and I've been writing about my experiences, my little experiences that's happening in education around schooling and whatever I'm learning. I've become a very rapid learner. I'm learning a lot about what's happening and what people are doing. I'm following everything very closely. And I feel that, parents' involvement in a child's journey is very, very important. Every parent will have their own way of doing it, I'm sure. But I think I feel that abandoning is not the way to raise a learner. I think being with them involving oneself in their journey makes children very happy, and that happiness, we should think about that, how we can influence our kids' life in the best positive way. And that's why I've started, I have been writing newsletters. I publish weekly on Sundays. I'll chat, type in the comment right now. I write about different things that we can do with children and how we can make beautiful bonds with kids and what I have been learning in education and learning and about different schools and different people who are talking and bringing different perspectives to education. So yeah.
Excellent. So for the newsletter and everything, it's in one of the links that you shared. You're on mute again. Hello, you're on mute. Still on mute.
Yeah, I have put it in the chat now.
Oh, okay, perfect. Right. Anyway, we need to kind of wrap this up now. So thank you to our audience for coming on. The audience, have been guests apart from Deborah. And some of the ones that were on earlier that had to drop off have been guests. If you want to hear their stories, then let me know. They're all available in links. Priyanka, you've been a fantastic guest. 96th guest.
Yes. And 6 is my lucky number. It's my birth date. 6.
Ah. Yeah, I normally ask about, is their number significant? Because it's completely random what number they get. And they say, it is, it's my lucky number or whatever. So it's good that.
I mean, it's my birthday date, so I think it's my lucky number. So,
Anyway,
but yeah, it was great being here, James, and digging in all those stories and bringing it here. And it was really fun for me to relive those moments and share with you everything.
Yeah, as I was saying, you're not alone in your quest for this. And I've spoken to many different educators we've even had on the show, and they all feel something similar. Some are doing something about it. Some are trying to infiltrate into the system and try and change it, which is probably the hard way. And others like the idea but haven't done anything. So, I mean, I think also as a parent, I would like to introduce some of the things that I feel are missing. And if we can collectively do something together, that'd be magical. Right. Thank you very much. Have a great weekend.
I think Pete wanted to say something.
No, I just wanted to say, enjoyed meeting you and looking forward to learning more. And thank you for your story. And have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for being here.
3 hours late. Must be the South African Swiss time again or something. Did you swap time again, James?
No, never changed anything. It's the same time.
Oh, well, I'm getting old.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
Sorry, guys. I'll see you next week.
I'll send you
the
recording will be posted, so catch up on it. It's so funny. You'll love it. Deborah, thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. There's so much. I'll connect with you, Priyanka, because there's so much that I think we can connect on.
Sure, Deborah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah, you've got one of those voices I could listen to for hours.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, okay, so thanks everyone. Again, thanks for being our 96th guest, and everybody have a great weekend. We've got another great guest coming up next week. It's for once it's a guy rather than a girl, and his story is from the Netherlands, where he's originally from, living in Brazil and starting a new community of New Earth movement, and fantastic. So anyway, he's the guest next week. So see you all next week. And if you're not here, you'll see the recording. So have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you, James. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Wow, that was another featured business brought to you by Visibility Impact. If you'd like to be our next featured guest or learn how James Moffat can help you leverage on the art and power of interactive storytelling for your business, reach out and schedule a call now.